Hello everyone and welcome to 2S here at Laguna Seca. It is the 6th round in the 11th season of ACC at 2S. We join on Ben Lewis, who has currently just finished his first lap on qualifying, and it's quite a short track, so the qualifying we've got a lot more laps this time around compared to Bathurst last week. It is myself, Christian Stricker, again on the microphones doing solo commentary. Timo unfortunately couldn't make it this week, and I don't think he can make it next week either, so you're stuck with me for a little while longer. I hope that's okay with you guys. It's definitely okay with me. I enjoy broadcasting to everyone. Please let me know if all the audio and everything is correct. Again, I'm not sure if it's set up properly, but if you're in the chat, let me know, that'd be great. Anyways, we're riding with Ben Lewis, as I said earlier, who is currently in 7th place. But the big story of today is that we have Dominic Illigner, who's actually currently in provisional pole at the moment. He is tied in the championship with Tommy Aslin after his, I would say, suboptimal performance in Mount Panorama last race. And that has allowed Tommy Aslin also with a brilliant performance getting himself onto the podium positions. They are now neck and neck on the points. So we give basically whoever is leading between these two in this race is going to be leading the championship going into the final 2 rounds, which will be very interesting to say the least. I don't think we've ever had 2 drivers matched on points this late in the season before, so it's definitely going to be an absolute banger of the finish we'll have to this race. But at the moment it seems like Dominic Illigner, well, just as I say that, Tommy Aslin puts it into provisional pole, and look, there is no time between the 2 drivers, basically 0.013. Dominic Illigner is behind Tommy Aslin. Let's have a look at Tommy Aslin and see what he's up to in the middle sector currently of his lap. But they are already straight from last race into the next one. They are fighting for the pole position already at the same time, which is absolutely brilliant. Stuff we love to see here on 2S and especially here at Laguna Seca. Now Laguna Seca is quite a strange track, I'd say. I mean, it's a fun track, don't get me wrong. I enjoy driving it a lot. I think it's very technical. It's not so scenic in a sense. It's just a bunch of sand around the area, but it's definitely a track that keeps you on your toes for sure. As you can quite easily make a small mistake that costs you a lot of time, especially down the corkscrew or into the corkscrew for that matter. If you outbrake yourself, you're straight into a wall. There's no saving it, and the gravel traps around this track are definitely hard to navigate sometimes, or easy to get into, I'd rather say. But anyways, general lap times around here, I think we can expect around mid 21s for quality time, and then race pace around 22, 23s, especially for these top guys. And just to say that Dominic Illigner puts it back on provisional pole with a 1:21.6, and he goes back into the pit lane now. Let's go have a look at Alexander Diakovsky, who is a teammate of Tommy Aslin, also doing quite well this so far in this quality session. But anyways, I was saying that at 2S we've had Laguna Seca. We've had it raced it a few times. I believe last time we raced it was in season 6 or something. It's been quite a while since we've seen this track on the calendar, generally because it's not a fan favorite for a lot of the drivers, but I feel like it's definitely an underrated track. It's not so easy to overtake on, I'll give it that. The racing is difficult sometimes on this track, but I still think it's a very technical and fun track to drive around, and oftentimes it gets quite hot as well, so the tires, you have to manage them more than you would in other tracks, so to say. Also just generally the nature of the track, it's very up and downhill. It's a proper racetrack compared to some other tracks which we will have later on, like Paul Ricard. And I see Torres in the chat, he's saying best track ever, and I wouldn't say it's the best track ever, but I definitely agree. It's, I very much enjoy driving this, and I'm sad I'm not in the cockpit today, but I am very happy. On that sad note, I'm very happy that I am in the commentary booth for a change, so I can talk about people doing mistakes rather than doing them myself, which is absolutely brilliant. It's the part I love about commentating. You can be a good judge to everyone, and as long as you're semi-competent in the car, they can't really say, sorry for that. I guess I'm not semi-competent at broadcasting, but as long as you're semi-competent in the car, people will be like, oh, okay, I guess fair enough. Yeah. Do like having a dig at some of the drivers sometimes, but if I only do it out of the friendly banterness for everyone who's new to this 2S. What is a chance of no M happening? I'm not quite sure what you mean. No rain? No, oh, someone's off track there and just showing how easy it is to, once you dip your wheels on the gravel trap, hopefully it doesn't get in the way of the guy behind it. It looks like the 777 Ferrari behind also backed out of their lap once the rejoin of number 14 of Martin Farhat happened. Let's jump back to Alexander Diokovsky, who's actually quite far up on his lap time. He could potentially... oh no, Mills. Yeah, so we might get a Mills moment. So for everyone who's joining, who's never watched Race Here 2 as before, I think you're probably getting the lingo. And actually, as that happens, Diokovsky jumps into second place, currently ahead of his teammate Tommy Aslan. But I think these two will work together to make sure that Aslan gets all the points he needs for the rest of the season. But speaking of Mills, we jumped to him, going a little bit wide on the corner, but I think he's still within a valid lap. He's half a tenth up, if not more, on his current lap time compared to his previous. So he's going to jump up quite a few positions. This is going to be enough to be provisional pole in silver class, and I think, no, it's not. It gets slots into P3 in silver class. But yeah, so for people who have not been watching for a long... Oh! Hello, Nico. Interesting line for Nico Velman, the Season 9 champion of ACC. That's a jump to Aiden Bailey, who had a brilliant race last season until it all went so very wrong. He dropped it in the last few minutes, and then there was a Mills no moment, speak of the devil, that he was pointing the wrong direction, Jack Mills was, and Aiden Bailey had nowhere to go but straight into him, as that is the nature of Battlefield sometimes. But he's jumped all the way up to P11 now, so that is going to be provisional pole in silver class. He's half a second faster than the guy in second place at the moment, so that is a huge jump for Aiden Bailey. I was saying, he's had a really good season so far. He's had the pace. He's, I would say, probably one of the front runners in silver class, but consistency sometimes gets the better of him, and I hope it doesn't get the better of him today, because that is a beautiful lap. He's slotted himself in between some of the pro drivers even, and it's sometimes you see it happen, but it's not always. But he's done it this time around. Still 5 minutes left to quality, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. As that happens, Fireheads gets much closer to the lap time of Aiden Bailey, but that is still a good performance so far. Just under 5 minutes to go, and he's leading provisional pole in silver class. Someone else who's on a good lap at the moment, Dominic Illickman. Let's actually ride on board with him, see what he's up to in that cockpit of the Audi. So he's matching his delta at the moment, which would make sense because it is only the first sector at the moment. But you see, you just tap the brakes slightly, get the car turned in, get on the throttle, run out all the way wide on the curbs there, maximizing the exit. Then we hear you brake at the number 2 mark as he gets himself a little bit on the gravel. That's going to send him wide, and he's going to have to abort this lap or reconsider his positioning on track, because he's got, I think, a few drivers ahead of him who are not as quick. But anyways, we move. He cuts the inside. Well, don't cut that corner because there's a massive curb. Blind crest up here. You brake again at the 2 pointer just when the curb starts on the right. You dip your car in and turn it right quite quickly, and you get the great exit here. This corner I always find it very difficult. Some people like to keep a tight line in, some people make it a wide line. But I think Dominic Illickner is setting up his next quali run, giving himself a little bit of space to the cars in front of him as he runs it up wide. And there is number 14 of Farahad parking on the side, but that's fine. Illickner gets the space he needed. So let's try go for another lap. This time we go for the front splitter view, a bit more of a scenic view, I'd say, of the track. And you can see it's nice blue skies today. I don't think there's any chance of rain, at least not in the qualifying session, but I still don't think in the actual session. So anyways, you brake at the 3 point, it's a sort of a double apex here, so he sort of missed the first one, but you can, as long as you hit the second one, it's more about the excellent apex there. And who is it other than Tommy Aslan who gets up right in front of him on his hot lap? These two cannot get enough of each other. They can't stay off each other on track. That is amazing. But anyways, Tommy Aslan does the right thing, gets himself out of the way. That is Rhinoha off the track, you see right there. Dominic Illickner doing great to navigate the circuit so far. He's matching his current fastest laps delta. We'll see what he does in the second sector. I feel like the first sector is much easier to nail and get down compared to the second sector. It's hard to maximize the track, and I think he's done it there. It doesn't invalidate according to my delta. So yeah, that is Diokovsky getting out the way. So into the corkscrew. Yes, does a very nice job of navigating through that corner. He's a little bit down on his delta, but it's basically nothing at the moment. He can still improve on his lap time. So he runs a quite tight corner in there, and there's another car off the track that is Sam Chumley. So he's not had the easiest of runs with traffic, but he's still managing to navigate it quite well. And it looks like he's got a good exit here on the final corner. He's up on his delta, or his delta is very similar to what he's had previously. Is he going to make a better lap time this time around? I don't think so at the moment. So he does cross the line. It's a 121.7, so 1/10 slower than his previous lap time. But he does have around 2 laps left in his quali run, but he decides to abort. But let's go for Tommy Aslan then, who will be trying to challenge Dominic Illickner for that pole position at the moment. So he does navigate the first sector beautifully yet again, just like Dominic Illigner did, but he has 1.5 tenths to find somewhere. And I know the Audi is very strong on this track. I wouldn't know if the Aston Martin is strong as well. I think the Aston Martin is, I mean, in Tommy's hands, is always strong, but I think it's also a nice car around this track. Some cars, I know the McLaren struggle here around every now and then, but Jack Colley is in P5 at the moment with the McLaren, but he's 3 tenths off of P4, so I don't know if that has anything to say with it. But I'm just reading the chat again. Torres saying he just don't think he's ever seen rain at Laguna. Well, we can make that happen. At least next time we race on it. Not this time, but next time we can definitely make it happen. And then Hicksy saying it would be a perfect balance between Pro and Silver if Bailey wasn't OP, and I would agree. In the practice session before this quality session, there was a perfect balance between Silver and Pro, but then Aiden Bailey's just gone and slotted himself in there, in between a mix of pros. But anyways, Tommy Aslin coming to the end of his lap. He is 1/10 up in his lap time. He gets a good exit, but I don't know if it's enough to get that pole position. He's going towards the start-finish straight. And is he going to cross the line now? He does, but he's not enough to get himself into P1. So he is P2 currently, but is 0.08 8 hundredths behind Dominic Illigner. He still has one more lap to go before his quality run is over, and he is pushing as hard as he can. He's already 3 tenths up on his current lap in this first few corners. So if he just manages to maintain that throughout the rest of the lap, and he's 5 tenths up now, so he's increasing his speed. Actually, maybe gets a little bit of a slipstream and from the McLaren ahead, but he runs a little bit wide. That's going to cost him some time, but it's not too dramatic as he's still in the positive delta at the moment. We'll have to wait and see what happens when he crosses the line. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on Dominic Illigner's time as well. And Illigner is also on positive delta. He's nearly a full 10th up on his previous lap time. Let's jump on board with Tommy Aslin as he's going to complete this lap. So qualifying is over now, so this is his final lap. He's got the McLaren ahead of him. Hopefully that doesn't disturb him too much as he jumps over the corkscrew, basically. Straight lines the corner that is very hard to straight line. A brilliant line from Tommy Aslin. He's got 2 more corners to navigate. His delta is green, but it's not enough to take that pole position at the moment. He's got the final corner. He lost a little bit of time actually in the last lap compared to his previous one here. So he gets on the throttle nice and early, runs the car out wide. He gets a brilliant exit, and is that actually enough to get the pole position? I think it might just be. He crosses the line now, and oh, it's so close in P2 at the moment with the 0.02 seconds. And you can see he's in frustration throwing the car around. So he just misses out on that pole position, but only one person could have changed that, and that is Dominic Illigner. We'll see how Dominic Illigner fares on his final lap, but I don't think it's enough looking at his delta. He's not quicker than he was on the previous lap, so I think Dominic Illigner, he definitely has it secured, but by how much is it? And we'll see once he crosses the line. But he's very close on his previous lap, but actually just looking at his exit there, that's not enough. So Dominic Illigner does get pole position for the race. Tommy Aslin right behind him with 0.02 seconds. And behind Tommy Aslin is Diakovsky, which is his teammate. Wow, that was a very interesting quality session at the end there. Good entertainment for sure, and it breeds for a perfect race that we have ahead of us with the 2 championship contenders in P1 and P2. That is always very entertaining to see, and we know their pace is basically the same. So we'll have a good race on our hands, that's for sure. But I think basically whoever leads into turn 1 will win the race, or does an undercut or something. I don't know how big the undercut is on this track, but it could be very interesting to watch. And even if there is an undercut happening, that's also something else. Anyways, I'm just catching up in the chat. Sanix, no, still calling me Kimi from when that was my name from. Well, it's been over a year now. I guess old habits dies hard. Can I send the Lego car reveal? I don't remember if I have it. I guess I do have it somewhere. I'll try and find it for you. I don't remember having the reveal, but we'll have a look. But before we send the Lego car reveal, for those of you who need the context, Lego car is a car that me and Sanix we raced together with as a team in season 8 or something. And he's looking for the reveal, but he can't find it. I remember it being a Lego City meme of some sort. But anyways, enough of that. We're now going to have a little scenic look at Laguna Seca, the calm before the storm, before the cars start firing up their engines and ripping up the tarmac and crashing into each other. No, we don't do crashing into each other. That's not going to happen. It's 2S. We never do that. No, could never be us. But anyways, here we have Sector 1 under the Cooper Tires banner. I don't know why they say it twice. I mean, we can see it already once. I mean, I guess marketing is marketing. And we go, this is one of my personal favorite corners, so you can go on the inside here. There's a little curb there. If you hit that, your car gets unsettled. Then you run out wide. And then if you hit the gravel, as we saw Tommy Aslin do on his fast lap, it slows you down as well. So it's a very technical corner. It's a simple one in theory, but it's very technical to get right. And then we go into Mother's corner, polishes, wax, and cleaners. Some great sponsorship on this track, to be honest. Another left-hander, which is somewhat blind, but you just hit the apex and get all the way out again on the curbs. It's a very similar theme in all the racetracks, but especially here at Laguna. Then we get another corner coming up here, which is I think you brake between the 2 and the 1 mark, and again you dip your car into here. You sort of let the natural banking. Oh, I can see the cars are setting up to race. Let's just quickly do the corkscrew, and then we'll go find the cars on the grid. So it's a blind corner. You brake at the start of the curb, and you have to sort of dip your car into the inside curb here, and then just pray that you hit it right for the next one. And it's all blind over the crest, and it's very fun to drive and very scary, I can imagine, as well in real life. And the Dominic Illigner is setting off at the moment on track, and I don't think I've had enough looking at the track. So let's just follow, see what the cars are up to here. As the cars slowly but surely get away, I'm just reading the chat. There's a 777 fan club in the house. That's always nice to see. I believe that is our driver, Martin Bryan. Is that his name? Yeah, Martin Bryan. So that is a Martin Bryan supporter in chat. Welcome. Nice of you to join us. We'll keep an eye on him then. If you want to see some camera angles of him, just let me know. I'll show you all the angles you need if you make some interesting racing moves. Let's try find him on the track. So he's the only Ferrari on track, so it shouldn't be very hard to spot. There he is, right there in that blue Ferrari, followed by the god-awful Limerick driven by Andrew Moulton. I'm just going to quickly try and zoom past that livery because that does not need to be shown on camera any more than it has been. We have the blue Ferrari there of Martin Bryan. Welcome to the, I guess, welcome to the fan club. Getting stumbling over our own words. Another interesting take in chat is we have Taurus saying, I think Olive will win today. Well, Olive, impossible to miss his Lamborghini. Here he is on track. With the Revolut sponsored car. I'll show you quickly why it's called Revolut. You see on the roof there, it's sponsored by Revolut. I like to call it the Revolut card because it mimics the Revolut credit card as well as it has a sponsor. Anyways. From 10th, do you reckon he can win the race? That is a bold assumption, but I'll take your word for it. Obviously, Taurus has been with us for a very long time, so a little bit of a corner cut for Tommy Aslin there, warming up his tires. Sometimes I can give you an actual corner cut in game, so hopefully he didn't get one. But that's another thing here. Track limits on this track is it's quite easy to extend them and get a few track limit warnings. So we're probably going to see a few drive-thrus today. And we saw drive-thru in Bathurst, so anything can happen in these these races. That's for sure. Hixie saying him and Ben's 3 a.m. subway will fuel him to win today. Are you guys... Wait, so Ben said he was on a plane this morning. So did he come visit you, Gareth, in the UK, or did you come visit him? Because Ben is on track, but Gareth isn't. I guess Gareth came to visit him in, I can't remember where, in Germany somewhere. Oh, he was in the UK. Oh, okay, so he was visiting you, but he's back home, I guess, on the sim. And talking about back home on the sim, we are about to get going. Green lights are off, and brilliant start from Dominic Illigner. A bit of a slow start, actually, from the Aston Martin. Sam Chumley as well, jumping. Alexander Diakowski going for the outside of Tommy Aslin. Is he going to make the move stick? I don't think he's going to go for it. And Dominic Illigner going a little bit wider, and Tommy Aslin having his nose look up the inside of the corner. They're going to go side by side. Aslin gets a better exit compared to Illigner, but Illigner has the inside corner, inside line for the next corner, and Aslin is sort of left out to dry, and Illigner gets back his position that he lost briefly to Tommy Aslin. So that was a nice little scrap between the two lead drivers in the championship there. And Illigner starts leading again. Sam Chumley is already trying to attack on Alexander Diakowski, going around the outside of the next corner. I believe that is turn 5. But that's going to allow him to be susceptible from the attack from Schneiber in the in the Nissan, sorry, and he does. Schneiderberger gets past Sam Chumley, so Sam Chumley loses a position to the Nissan there. And then we have Ben Lowes and Jack Colley as well. They are fighting very hard together, and that is also the BMW of George Rosu getting in the mix there. And Ben Lowes does manage to defend his position while also attacking Jack Colley there. And there's yellow flags behind. I believe there has been contact between a few of the drivers, but then we'll have a look at those later. So Ben still behind Jack Colley on the track, and George Rosu trying to capitalize on the mistakes they had. So not too much happening at the front. It looks like Aiden Bailey might have had a bit of an issue somewhere. I don't see him on the replay form, but he's currently in third position in the silver class. So I wonder what's happened to him, but I know he's a quick driver, so we have to keep an eye out for what is going on between Aiden Bailey and the other drivers on track. And speaking of people trying to make moves into turn 1, is Aiden Bailey going around the outside of Jack Newton in that I've never seen that livery before. It's like a Red Bull livery-ish kind of thing, and that is Nico Veldman spinning around. Let's have a look at the replay, what happened there. So he is in front of Fireheart here, or Firehead, I should say, into turn 1. I think Firehead maybe just tapped his rear. It looks like the gap was closing, and yeah, he gets his rear tap, tries to keep the car under control, doesn't, and around he goes. So that is a significant F for Nico's race. He didn't have a good race in Bathurst. He's having a poor race start again today. So when can he catch a break? He's not had the most of luck at the moment. But let's cut to Martin Bryan at the moment. He seems to be trying to make some moves on Michael Rinoja in front of him. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to attack him into the corkscrew. Looks like he's a bit too far behind, but there's some more action up ahead, and that is the Audi of, I think, Niels Kruger off the track, who spins on the rejoin, and that's going to allow Aiden Bailey to get in front, and that is the number 86 and the 47. So Marvin Betch has been involved as well, and there is actually carnage happening in the back there. I wonder what's going on. Let's have a look at the replays, and there's so Niels Kruger completely outbrakes himself, and it seems like on the rejoin he just takes out Marvin Betch. That is very unfortunate. Marvin Betch outbrakes himself and he takes out Andrew Moulton on the rejoin. Very unfortunate incident there indeed. But we'll have the stewards look at that one. I'm sure they will have a few words about what's happening there. Higgins in chat saying that he was worried there was going to be a VBDL clash of some sort when they were driving together, but luckily there wasn't any sort of contact between these two drivers. But it looks like George Rosu has managed to make I'm getting confused between the McLarens. No, positions are still the same, don't mind what I'm saying, but Aiden Bailey has had an incident as well at some point. He's fallen quite a far bit off Jack Mills, and it looks like he's had some contact with Jack Newton early on. Let's try to see if we can catch a replay of this one. So he was chasing Jack Newton in the Porsche, and then we see he's quite a few seconds behind, so he bumps a little bit under braking, but I don't think that's the incident that's going to cause Bailey to fall behind. But anyways, he's lost a few positions now. And Mario's saying, okay, Olivier will win if he was in the silver class. I mean, you're not wrong. We know he is a bit of a pro driver, but he's struggling a little bit with this Lamborghini this season. And that is the number 27 of Jack Mills, who's off the track, and that is, it took us 2 laps to get us, wait for it, Mills, no! He's just clipped the curb on the inside and then spun his McLaren around, and that's promoted Aiden Bailey up to P3 and also Art van Geffen up to P4. So Jack Mills, within 5 minutes of the race, already presenting us with the peak entertainment we have had throughout the whole series, and he doesn't ever fail to make a boring race, that's for sure. Anyways, go back to the sort of leading pack at the moment. Dominic Illigan is slowly but surely building a bit of a gap to Tommy Aslin, I would say, behind him, but Alexander Diakovsky is right up the heels of Tommy Aslin at the moment. I would hope these two drivers would be working together rather than working against each other to try and see if Tommy Aslin can get some more points in this race. But it's still a long way to go. We've only driven just over 5 minutes. I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself at the moment, I think. But I just realized there is Tommy Aslin's Instagram handle on the back of the Aston Martin. I did not realize that before. So you see, at Cars from Luxembourg. Tommy obviously being from Luxembourg, so he's representing his home country, and also I'm half Luxembourg, so that's always nice to see. And I know his dad oftentimes watches on in the stream, so hello to Mr. Aslin in chat as well if you're watching. So Yeah, and also I've just noticed as well in the livery we got the the Mike Wazowski meme as well on right next to, you see it right there on the inlet and the front half of the car. So it's a nice livery they've thrown together here. It represents, I think it represents Tommy and Alexander very well on track. And it's the beautiful thing about custom liveries is that you can really put your own heart and soul into it, and represent yourself as a person with these liveries. Going to George Rosu, the winner of Mount Panorama, currently in P8 here at Laguna Seca. He was chasing down Ben Lowe's a little bit, but it seems like he's made a mistake somewhere just as I cut to him, as the delta times are very close to each other. But there is another battle happening at the moment, yet again with Jack Newton, but this time he is fighting with Niels Kruger, and Niels Kruger is slowly, it looks like he's actually got a little bit of damage on him, as Jack Newton is made his way ahead of Niels Kruger. They were going side by side earlier, but going into the corkscrew now, maybe Niels Kruger can get his position back from that was taken from him earlier, but I don't think so. It looks like he's building already quite a sizable gap at the moment. So Jack Newton in that Porsche doing brilliant stuff at the moment for Delta Racing System, and I look forward to seeing more of that in the future of the race. Jack Colley now making his way up behind Sam Chumley. These two drivers, I believe they had a battle last week, and they're having one yet again this week. The two Englishmen in the top 6 at the moment. Actually, the two Englishmen, there's a few more English, so it's the only English drivers in Pro at the moment. Okay, but battle of the Brits anyways, and it looks like at the moment Jack Colley's got a bit more pace in his McLaren than Sam Chumley does in his brightly pink Audi. So Sam actually goes a little bit deep in that corner, so Jack Colley has to react as you see him swiveling that steering wheel around to keep the car pointing in the right direction there. Good car control from Jack Colley, but Sam Chumley seems to be a little bit under pressure at the moment. And it seems like the Audi is quite difficult to navigate through this track. I know it's a hard car to drive in general. It's a bit of a twitchy car. It doesn't take much for the back end to step out. But Laguna Seca is also one of those corners, especially the old Audi. The new Audi is a little bit better, but they're still not great over the curbs. And the McLaren is also not great over the curbs, to be honest. But he seems to be coping quite nicely with it. But you see there's quite a big difference in the strengths of these two drivers. Sam Chumley seems to be a bit quicker in the middle sector. Jack Colley manages to catch up to him in the final sector, and now we get this little straight ahead. I think this is one of the only overtaking opportunities of this racetrack. It all depends on the exit, but it looks like the Audi is actually faster than the McLaren down the straight, so that's going to make Jack Colley's life just a little bit more difficult. But he might be able to send it under braking. He decides not to. He would be a bit too far behind to do it, but Sam Chumley runs a little bit wide. He's going to cut back to make the apex, but he doesn't quite go for it. It looks like he's left the door slightly open for Jack Colley, but Jack Colley does not pounce on that gap that wasn't there, to be honest. But he could have maybe stuck his nose in a little bit more and spooked Sam a little bit. Just taking a little bit of a break for my voice. I do miss Timo sometimes. I think it would be good to have him here today, but sadly he won't be able to join us. But Sam Chumley goes a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Jack Colley to go up the inside, and Sam doesn't think much more of it. He just lets Jack go through, and that is a move for P5 for the McLaren driver, and he has won the battle of the Brits at the moment. Going into the corkscrew, though, Sam is getting very close to him, right behind him. He goes for a bit of a wider line. That's maybe he's able to set up a move again this time around, but Jack Colley makes a brilliant exit out of the corkscrew, and Sam is going to have to slot in behind him at the moment. But it looks like that McLaren's got brilliant pace behind him, and Sam just was not able to keep him behind for longer than a few laps. Speaking of battles, Ben Lowe's at the moment, he's being pressured by George Rosa. Sam Chumley actually dives into the pit lane, maybe going for a very early pit stop. That is I know he loves to do an undercut, but that's a very early undercut, to say the least. And maybe he's going for just a different strategy. I think it's 25 seconds minimum pit stop time. You don't have to change your tires, but oftentimes it is quicker to change your tires because of the tire wear. Like, you make up those 5 seconds again. So if he pits now, I'm pretty sure he would change his tires, but he's going for that free air. Maybe he had some damage on his car, I'm not sure. I'm trying to look in the replays if he's had any sort of incident anywhere. It doesn't look like it. So interesting. We'll have to see after the race what'll happen with Sam, or if he just decide to go for an undercut. I'm not sure. Seems a bit early though for an undercut. But anyways, George Rosu in the BMW for a digital racing system. Another DRS team on the grid, but it's a different team. I believe it's a Romanian team. I mean, he is a Romanian driver, and he has done a Romanian or like Balkan Esports or something with his team. I've been quite successful with it actually. So we saw it last week in Mount Panorama where he got a brilliant result of pole position and the win. This time around he's P7 at the moment, chasing down Ben Lowes. At the moment in a fight with the BMWs. But I don't think at the moment it looks like Ben is just a little bit too quick or defending his lines perfectly for George Rosa to be able to pounce on any opportunities at the moment. So it's just a bit of a waiting game. Or maybe he could apply pressure and Ben Lewis will crack. But I know Ben, he doesn't exactly crack under pressure, but he is driving on 3 hours of sleep or something. So maybe the fatigue will kick in later on in the race. I'm sure he's very tired after having a great weekend with I'm sorry, Gareth. With Gareth Higgins in the UK. Anyways, Niels Kruger, we saw him battling with Jack Newton earlier, and another person who's joined this battle is Aiden Bailey. So it's a three-way fight now for the lead in silver class. That is going to be very interesting to follow. So I thought Jack Newton had a lot more pace in him than he compared to Niels Kruger and Aiden Bailey at the moment, but it looks like he's made a mistake somewhere, or the Porsche is getting a bit too much of a handful for him to drive on the tires, or maybe getting cooked a little bit better than the other two cars. I'm just reading the chat. Ben has had some good food. He won't be tired. Well, good to know that he is well nourished. Always nice to see. By the way, who is Benjamin in chat? I can't quite put a face on the name. Was there contact there between Aiden Bailey and Niels Kruger? But that is Aiden Bailey gets 2 positions as one. I don't know if that's Jack Newton making a mistake. I'm going to catch the replay later on. But Aiden Bailey goes up to P1 at the moment. Was there contact between the number 22 and Niels Kruger and the number 24 there? I don't believe there was. I'm going to try and catch the replay. Let's see. So we go into the corkscrew, and I couldn't quite catch it on this angle. I'm sorry. You guys let me know if it was a contact or not. But he went flying, and surely there was contact. That was such a bizarre way to spin the car. So, but Aiden Bailey is currently in net P1 at the moment. I don't know if there was contact. That could probably be a penalty coming his way later on after the stewards have met up and talking about it on track. But speaking of another battle, George Rosa trying to go around the outside of Ben Lowes. Ben Lowes doing all he can to make that BMW as wide as possible. As you see, he's covering the inside line that George Rosa was going for, but he found a little gap. They're going side by side. Rosa has the inside line, but he's going to have to go over the curbs. Over the outside goes Ben Lowes. A little bit of contact is made, and then George Rosa goes through. I'm not quite sure whose fault that is. I'm going to leave that down to a racing incident at the moment. But then, speaking of another racing, it's all kicking off now. Tommy Aslin is now right up behind Dominic Illichner for the lead of the race at the moment. Suddenly, we went from no battles to 3 battles in 1 lap. Brilliant stuff here happening at Laguna Seca. It looks like Tommy Aslin getting that race pace under him now. Is he going to make a move against Dominic Illichner into turn 1? He's looking for it. It's on the inside, but he decides not to do it. And yet to be very close to the car, pretty much side by side actually, to make a move stick into turn 1. As it is quite a short braking zone. The double apex is difficult to not have contact if you're diving up the inside there. Higgins in chat saying, I don't think there was contact. That spin looks so unnatural. That's what I'm thinking as well. And I know you can spin under braking if you hit the grass or the gravel too much there, but yeah, it's very difficult to tell from the angle. We'll have to wait and see later on. There was no contact in the replay function, or the contact tool, so to say, between these two drivers. So I believe, if everything I'm being told according to my tools and all this, I believe that Aiden Bailey may have just gone through on own merit and overtook Jack Newton and Niels Kruger in the span of the corkscrew, which is a brilliant stuff from Aiden Bailey. You wouldn't expect anything less of him. He's been doing brilliant this season in silver class. 45 minutes of the race to go, and someone as Higgsy is spotted in chat as well. In half an hour we will have rain. Now, if this rain, it usually takes a few laps for the rain to really make it difficult to drive with wet tires. If people are paying attention, I think the strategy here today, you wait to pit until the rain has kicked in and it's wet tires optimum, and then you get the wet tires on and you have 4 or 5 laps left of the race. Or you pit earlier, you run the risk of having to pit again, but it might never get wet enough for wet tires having to be needed. But there's still, if rain is in half an hour, there's still 15 minutes where the track's going to be at least greasy I know slick tires, they quite quickly they wear off in the rain, although I do know Tommy Aslin has a brilliant experience racing in the rain. So does Dominic Illigner, so I'm sure they will both be more than fine, no matter what tire they're on. But with 50 minutes of the race to go, I still think it's probably, at the moment, theoretically, I think it would be worth going onto the rain tires and just waiting to make your pit stop until it's necessary, because then there'll still be about 10 minutes left where the rain tire will be much quicker than the slicks. And then you would have had the strategy down, so I think that is the strategy to go for. Wait to do your pit stops until the rain kicks in. But then again, we as spectators or as commentators, we can see this at any time. These drivers, they are concentrating on what's happening on track at the moment, and I'm pretty sure not all of them will know that there is rain coming. So this could be quite a tricky one for these drivers to navigate. I mean, they're all very experienced. I know they pay attention sometimes, they just have a look at the weather, but you don't always expect it, especially not Laguna Seca. As we were saying earlier, I've never seen rain in Laguna, but we're having it today. Gareth saying if only he could race engineer 3 people at the moment. Well, I can quickly jump into the chat of Tommy Aslin and Alexander Diakowski. I can tell them there's rain coming. I can also jump into the main chat here at 2S. A lot of the drivers, they would like to race together in the chat. They probably have spots by now though, to be fair, as there's quite a lot of them in there. And then Higgins, you can go and tell the other drivers, and then pretty much the whole grid will have know that there's rain coming. But I can definitely tell you, people who will miss out is Sam Chumley, Jorge Prieto, and Mikel Renoja. They've all pitted for one reason or another. And speaking of Sam Chumley, just made a move on Andrew Moulton there. But they pitted early on, so that is the risk with the undercut. There's still rain possible, and that is what's happening at the moment. So that's going to make a very, very interesting end of the race, or also very anticlimactic. It might just be everyone goes in the same strategy and nothing changes. But we always like to assume rain mid-race usually gives chaos, and I'm hoping for it this time around. People do your rain dance, hope for the chaos you need, and just to pray that your favorite driver makes it through in one piece. But it's definitely going to give us great, brilliant entertainment. I look forward to it. So Ben Lewis has also been overtaken by Antoine Olivier. I didn't see that happening. There was a bit of contact between himself and George Rosu on lap 10, but I believe that was a bit of a while ago. I think that's the one we saw live. So maybe the pace on Ben Lewis dropping a little bit. Aiden Bailey drives into the pit lane now. So I wonder if he is going to do a 2-stop, or he is hoping that that rain is not going to be strong enough to need wet tires, because that is also a possibility. It can rain for 15 minutes and the slick tires are still the same speed as the wet tires if it's very little rain, and then it doesn't make sense to go for wet tires. So it's a bit all up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. None of the VVDL guys have enough fuel to go all the way. That is also an interesting point. But then yeah, okay, so a lot of people, they fuel for about half the race. Because it's usually around the halfway mark that you want to refuel, so you have less room in the car when you're racing. But that also, yeah, you run the risk of, if you have rain, then everyone's going to be doing a 2-stop if no one has enough fuel to make it to that point. Or if someone's really brave to put on wet tires, but they'll be way too early, I think, to put on wet tires at the halfway mark. But speaking of a little bit of a battling going on, as Tommy Aslin, sorry, not Tommy Aslin, Ben Lewis, the other Luxembourgish driver, is under pressure from Farhat behind him. Going through the corkscrew, and he decides to drive into the pit lane as well. So I think they're going for undercuts now. They are putting on all the fuel they need. They're putting on slick tires, and they are, or actually it wouldn't make sense to put on tires, it would cost you a little. Yeah, they're just refueling now, and they are going to pray that everyone else has a 2-stopper as well. Cora is saying that Antoine Olivier usually puts a full tank in his car, and I know for a fact that he doesn't always. He used to, but he doesn't always recently, so it's hard to say what is happening there. And Higgsy as well, getting insider information in the chat. That's always brilliant as a commentator to get these sort of information. Tommy Aslin running a little bit wide on the track as well. That's going to cost him a little bit of time in his pursuit on Dominic Illigner, but as long as he keeps the car out of the wall, it should be fine, and he has done so. Good car control from him, but he's really pushing hard now to try and get that P1 position at the moment. And yeah, Higgsy was saying, Aiden says there was no contact between the cars, so I think he did spin under his own accord. It was quick earlier with that battle, so well done for Aiden Bailey for putting him under that pressure. That's good stuff. my throat at the moment. Ben Lowes as well out of the pit lane. He's coming out now, and I think he's going to get out right ahead of Andrew Moulton, but he might have a little bit of worse tyres than Andrew Moulton. He's going to have a look up the inside, but he decides not to do it. Ben Lowes saves himself quite a large task of overtaking someone on Laguna Seca there, so that is perfect timing for Ben Lowes here for that pit stop. Now we have the other VVDL driver of Jack Colley going into the pit lane as well. Aidan Bailey has come out of the pits. He will have to overtake Andrew Moulton, but there's a 10-second gap between them, so I'm pretty sure once that gap is closed, that it won't be such an issue anymore for Aidan Bailey to make his way past. But yeah, people are starting to do the pit stop. I think all the VVDL boys have come to a collective agreement that it's best to do a pit stop now, refuel for the rest of the race, and then just hope when the red rain tire comes in that they are in the right position on track to maybe gain a few positions, possibly. But I could also see that it works out that you refuel at the halfway mark to make it to the end, and then just it won't make a big difference. Is what I'm trying to say. Between the two strategies, I think we're going to see a two-stopper no matter what if people have not refueled enough. Let's go back to this battle between Tommy Aslin and Dominic Illigner, as we do have back markers starting to get into the play of this. So we see Ben Lowes right in front of us taking the first corner, and then right in front of Dominic Illigner we have Andrew Moulton as well. But generally with the back markers they're very lenient to let people pass, and Andrew Moulton does a brilliant job there of letting both the P1 and P2 drivers pass on track without any big issues. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys catch up to Ben Lowes. What he will let them pass for sure, but I think their pace is somewhat similar, so it'll be a bit more difficult for them. Like the last lap for Ben Lowes was his pit stop, so it's hard to tell. But his best lap is a 1:23.1, and the best lap for both these drivers here is Tom Aslin and Dominic Illigner is a 1:22.1. So actually they're 1 second faster than Ben Lowes' fastest lap. So with that logic, they'll catch him fairly soon, but it is a different race period of the racetrack at the moment, different period of the race in general. So Ben's pace might be a little bit better than his fastest lap is saying. Anyways, Sam Chumley continuing his saga of overtaking people who haven't pitted yet. Gets a brilliant exit there on Marvin Betch, and is going to go up the inside, and before he's even made the corner has made the overtake stick. That was a very easy, almost DRS-like move by Sam Chumley there. Brilliant stuff from the British driver there in the pink Audi. He's having a good race at the moment. Early pit stop though, but a good race for sure. Oh, what's happened there? Was that Andrew? No, not Andrew. Marvin Betch. I'm confused between these two drivers. He just a little bit of a spin on the exit there. I think he got his car pointing in the right direction again. But he does have quite a lot of front damage, but that was there before he had that little spin, or instant, so to say. So I wonder where that is from, where that damage comes from. It's hard to catch everything on the contact tool. But we're reaching almost the halfway point of the race, so this is where most of the drivers will have refueled. So that is Ben Lowes going off the track at the moment. Hopefully he lets both the drivers pass with the blue flags, and it looks like he will as well. Tommy Aslin driving past him into the corkscrew. Breaks himself a little bit though doing so, but anyways he manages to survive. So two good friends on track at the moment, and I think Ben with that mistake sort of put himself into a position to get overtaken with the blue flags. Taurus in the chat saying, yeah, rain might actually come. I mean, it said 15 minutes ago, it said half an hour. We still have another 5-10 minutes before it shows in the 10-minute mark. And that's when it gets really interesting, because then you also see how much rain will be next. It could also literally just be a sprinkle of rain for 5 minutes, and that's it. Just reading the chat, you forget there's a chance of a hurricane. Yeah, well, there is a chance of a hurricane, but I wouldn't say it's a big chance. We have set the rain settings, we've prayed to the rain gods, we've spoken to them personally, and they're set up so they promise there won't be any hurricanes happening on track, or flood. But we can get close, and back marker getting a bit in the way of Tommy Aslin as he goes off track yet again. and I think that is the Ferrari of Martin Bryan ahead of him. He was flashing his lights earlier to try and get past, and that's a little bit of drama between the back markers and Tommy Asselin. We see a little bit of time to Dominic Illich now. Not exactly what he wants to see for his championship hopes, but he does still maintain that P2 position, and Alexander Dikowski is still 1.5 seconds behind. So it's not the biggest issue at the moment. It's just losing a little bit of time, slowly but surely, to Dominic Illich, and that's not what you want to see happen at the moment. So he's still just over half the race left to go. Got a lot coming up soon with the rain, and I need to just quickly see how this black market thing unfolds. And it looks like Ben Lowe is also trying to go up the inside of the Ferrari, and yes he does, and there is Alexander Dikowski as well going up the inside. So even though Ben Lowe is lapped, the Ferrari is lapped twice, if that makes sense. But anyways, I think I'm just reading where Martin Bryan is. So he's P4 in silver, so that's actually not so bad. P4 in silver, that's a pretty good result from him. And then currently Mark Aiden Bailey is right behind him in silver class on track, but he has had his pit stop, and none of the other silver drivers have pit stop that are ahead of Aiden Bailey. So it'd be interesting to see where that happened, where he comes out according to these drivers on the track, once they do decide to make their pit stop. Just catching up with the chat again. Could you imagine if the drivers had to pit to engage water mode? I would like to see that happen. And that is Van Geffen in the wall. I need to see a replay quickly. We'll jump to... Oh, just missed the end of it, but it looks like he caught the inside curb of turn 3 and just got his car spun around, and then while he's trying to point his car in the right direction again, he drives straight into the wall. And that is a bit of an unlucky situation for Van Geffen, but almost spins again as we catch him after the replay. But he keeps his car under control this time around. But he goes off track, just as I say that he's doing everything I'm telling him not to. He's having pretty bad lap at the moment. Could be quite difficult to navigate around sometimes. Once your tires get a little bit cold from going off track, and once you get a little bit of that front damage, it is hard to understand how the car will react once you get into the next few corners. So I understand why he's making these mistakes. Torres in the chat saying he doesn't remember the last time he's seen Jack Mills in front of Nico Weldman on track. I don't either, to be honest, but it's a nice change, I'll say. So I mean, Nico Weldman did have that incident at the beginning of the race where he got spun around by Feuerhat. Feuerhat? I think it's Feuerhat. It's a pretty cool name, to be honest. Excuse my German, I'm not fluent. And then, stop go 30 seconds from Marvin Vetch. I believe that is for speeding in the pit lane. So the number 47 Audi on this track, that is a huge penalty, because the pit lane, I mean, it's not a long pit lane, but the track is so small that could easily be a lap that he loses from that stop go 30. That is a big penalty for Marvin Vetch for speeding in the pit lane. We do not have live stewarding. So it is definitely an in-game penalty, and the only reason you get this one is either cutting the track completely, which is not really possible to do here in a Laguna Seca, to cut it this way, or speeding in the pit lane, and I think it is for speeding in the pit lane because he was in the pit lane when the penalty was applied. So it's very unfortunate for him, but we see the first penalty of the race coming in. I think quite a lot of the drivers will be already on 2 or 3 track warnings at the moment. It is quite easy to cut the circuit here, so we might see some drive-throughs happening later on in the race. But at the moment, we see Nils Kruger. It looked like he was in a big battle between Andrew Moulton, but I think Andrew Moulton just leaving the pit lane messes with the timing screen a little bit. I know someone who is... Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna jump away from that. I think Aiden Bailey's connection might be a little bit unstable at the moment, so it's hard to show the battle he's having with Martin Bryan, but they are having a battle on track. Try and maybe go back to Martin Bryan. That is very difficult to watch. And Aiden Bailey right behind. I can't. Sorry, I'm not going to show this anymore. So we're going to have to avoid this one. But Tommy Asselin dives into the pit lane, so that tells me that he does not have enough fuel to go until the rain comes in. It is still half an hour to go of the race, so he's dived in right at the halfway mark. Is it my internet that's having issues? Wait, hold on. I'm going to try to fix this real quick. I'm not quite sure what's happening. This is very stuttery at the moment. So we'll quickly have a look at the track map. I do apologize for these issues. What is going on between the connection? I'm waiting, hoping, praying that my internet will sort itself out, because I think it's on my end at the moment. I'm going to quickly do a little speed test, because this is very unusual for the internet to be so unstable at the moment. So I do apologize for technical difficulties. The race is still ongoing. I'll keep you updated if anything interesting happens, but Tommy Aslan is still in the pit lane. It's becoming very, very stuttery now. But we'll see where Tommy Aslan gets out. So he's leaving the pit lane now. And there is... Wow, my internet's really not having a good time at the moment. Wait, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I do hope it can get better. I'm going to quickly... I'm going to wait until Tommy Aslan leaves the pit lane. So he's left the pit lane now. He is out in front of... that is the number 34, so that is Van Heffen. He is right behind the number 33 of Jorge Prieto, but they are laps down, so he comes out behind Jack Newton on track, which is actually not so bad at all. So we'll have to wait and see until Dominic Illigner joins the race. I'm going to quickly... I have to quit the server. I'm going to try and rejoin the server to see if that will fix any issues we are having at the moment. I do apologize for technical difficulties. Do bear with. I'm not sure what's happening. My internet speed seems to be fine, so it could just be a server issue or an ACC issue at the moment. So, oh. Uh-oh. It's not able to find the 2S server. I wonder if there's issues with the server itself. I'm not able to find it. So I do apologize for these technical difficulties. I'm not sure what is happening. I will try and get it fixed for you guys. Probably need to... What is happening? Is there anyone else having issues with the... Just like last season's Mercedes F1 car. Yeah, it's sort of the reliability kicked in. I feel like a Ferrari has from this weekend's race. What is going on? That is very strange. I'm just going to quickly relaunch the game. Sorry everyone, I do bear with. You can, in the meantime, enjoy these beautiful views of Laguna Seca. No drivers DCing for now. Anyone else having issues with just connection in general? Or is it on my part? Because it could just be my thing. Rain in 10 minutes and rain plus in 30 minutes. So that is good to know. So rain will come soon. I'll try and get this up and running before the rain kicks in. I have restarted my game now. No servers found. That is very interesting. It reads the server, but it's not able to find it. All right, let's try again. All right, it seems like it's now found it, and that seems to have fixed the issue for now. So let's just I'm gonna quickly try and set up again. I do apologize for all that issues I just had. Everyone's saying connection is fine, so I think it's maybe just my computer having a little bit of a hiccup. I do apologize very much for this. But it's up and running again. I'm gonna quickly just set up all the tools correctly to make sure you guys can get just a good experience as you got previously. And we are back in the race, everyone. So sorry for that little suspense moment, but here we are with Antoine Olive right ahead of Ben Lowes. So he's getting chased down by Ben Lowes. They've both made the pit stop now. Tommy Aslan in P5. You see rain in 10 minutes. Coming out the pit lane there is the Ferrari, but we have Ben Lowes right now chasing Antoine Olive. He's trying to go up the inside. There's a little bit of a spot there. Antoine Olive leaves the door open. Ben Lowes going for it, has the run towards the outside of the corner. So Antoine Olive putting his car in perfect position. They're going side by side through this second corner already, and they're still going side by side into turn 3. Who's going to come out of it? Ben Lowes around the outside, Antoine Olive up the inside, and Antoine manages to defend his position with brilliant racing and a little scrap between these two drivers. That was very entertaining stuff. We come back right into the mix of everything. Good stuff. Thank you everyone who waited along and with the technical difficulties, because that was absolutely amazing race between these two drivers. And speaking of amazing racing, Tommy Aslan going up the inside there of Jack Newton to continue his charge to not lose 20 positions on his undercut. There's also a little battle between Jack Colley and Nico Veldman. Nico Veldman not been in the pit lane yet, but this battle could be very interesting to watch. as he now has to try and make his way past Nico, and looks like he's got the speed and the run into turn 1. He's right up behind the rear bumper of that Audi. Nico going towards the inside, defending at the moment, but he's defending the inside, so Jack Colley has to go all the way around the outside. Will he make this move stick? He's not done it quite yet, so he gets a bit of an overrun on the inside, trying a bit of an undercut maneuver, but he's not able to put his car into position. Nico doing a brilliant job defending. Going for the inside is Jack Colley. Nico running a little bit wide. Leaves the gap open. Jack Colley says, thank you very much, I'll take this. Going to up the inside again. Finally, Jack Colley makes his way past Nico Veldman. So, brilliant little scrap between these two drivers as well, but it's not really for position, as Nico still has to go into the pit lane. But it's nice to see them having fun anyways. And Alexander Diakowski now chasing down Björn Schneiber, who actually seems to have made a position on him during the pit stop phase. So Bernd Schneiber now up to what is net P3, and he gets a little bit sideways in the corkscrew, and that's going to allow Diakowski to get right up behind his rear bumper and try and make a move, but unfortunately he just ran out of space at the moment. Okay, it looks like everything is calmed down now with the internet as well. I'm just checking it to make sure the packets are not. I think I just had to quickly reset my game. Maybe it was my CPU having an issue, not so much my internet. First time I've ever experienced that, by the way. That was very strange, so I do apologize. But I'm just reading, sometimes internet can disappear and the stream still continues, which is rare to see. But and it's happened again, guys. Mills has done it. I see yellow flags for Mills. What has he done? He won't be able to live this down. I will catch every single mistake he does. So it looks like he might have just caught the inside curb of this corner. Let's see if that's exactly what has happened. Yeah, and he goes spinning around. Mills, why? Every single race since season 1, I feel like there's been an issue with Jack Mills. He's hit the podium once though, so he's had a few good races, but it seems like a common theme. And every single time, there's always something that happens. And I can imagine. I respect Jack for continuing, because he has done 11 seasons now at ACC, and he still struggles sometimes with the consistency. And going up the inside of Jack Newton is Bernd Schneider, but not able to make the move stick. Jack Newton not having pitted yet, so he's a bit of a roadblock for Bernd Schneider, and that's going to allow Diakowski to try and make a position as well. So he will go to the inside here, and the Nissan GTR on the outside, so they both get their way past Jack Newton. But Alexander Diakowski wiggling his wheel. Is he driving on a pad or something? He has a lot of wheel movement in this boy. Going down the straight, he seems to be turning a lot. Fast and loose with the old track limits. Yeah, it is very... some people get track cuts, that's for sure, when they battle, and that was one of the examples of getting the track corner cuts. But anyways, Diakowski is still chasing down Schneider there in the Nissan. I'm going to quickly keep an update as well. So Dominic Illigner has been in the pit lane. Tommy Aslin is about 1.5 seconds behind Dominic Illigner. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when the rain comes. So yeah, rain in 10 minutes, more rain in 30 minutes. So that's a good indication that wet tires might be needed. But another thing making me wet is Aiden Bailey going up the inside of Firehead, and that is a position on track, not a position in class, but Aiden Bailey make his way up to P12 at the moment, make his way past another pro driver of Firehead, and he's again building that gap behind him to silver class. There's a huge gap actually behind him. I'm going to quickly whip up the calculator. That is large. Nils Kruger at the moment is not even in the first. Wow. So he's got a huge gap to silver class. It's exactly the same as we saw last race. I mean, to be fair, Jack Newton still has to pit. So Jack Newton could still be very close to Aiden Bailey, but just like we saw in Mount Panorama, Aiden Bailey, a huge gap to the other guys in silver. But we know it's not over until the fat lady sings, and it is a difficult track. We have rain coming, so I just pray that this time around Aiden Bailey will manage to survive. Hopefully I haven't commentated cursed it yet again. I feel like I did a little bit last time. Anyways, Diakowski still chasing down Schneider, who now has some back markers to deal with sooner rather than later. That is the back marker of Marvin Betch in front of him, the number 47 Audi. And these two drivers, I feel like the pace is very similar, but the consistency might be a little bit different. I think that GTR is very difficult to handle. But I respect him driving because it is not a normal car to drive in ACC. It's definitely not one of the more competitive ones. But he still manages to make it very competitive. And speaking of competition, we are back to the battle for P1. Dominic Illigner, since his pit stop, has been reeled in by Tommy Azelin. And I think Tommy has more pace at the moment compared to Dominic Illigner. The last lap of Asselin being at 22.1, last lap of Illigner being at 22.9, so that's 8 tenths between them, and this is going to be a spicy battle to watch. The lights are on, the track is getting dimmer, the rain is coming in, we have 20 minutes to go. This is going to be such an epic finish, and I can't wait for to see how it unfolds. And then there we go, Dominic Illigner already doing a little bit of a defensive maneuver into the final corner. Tommy Asselin takes a bit of a wider line and hopefully gets a better exit, but he's not going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1 unless he absolutely sends it under braking. He's having a look on the inside, and he's a little bit later on the brakes, but he's just closing in on the brakes rather than making a move. Basically pushing Illigner through the second corner there. And into turn 3 they will go. Dominic Illigner doing a brilliant job racing with his eyes in front of him, not in the mirrors. Sometimes you can see when people drive in the mirrors. Dominic Illigner is definitely not doing that. He's putting his car in the correct positions, not reacting, overreacting, so to say, to Tommy Asselin's overtake attempts. But here we are, Illigner on the inside trying to defend it. Asselin now has a better line through this corner. Will he get the switchback maneuver on the inside? Illigner covers up the inside, but Asselin is still going for it. Almost on the gravel he is, but he just has to back off a little bit and slot in behind Illigner. And this battle is heating up now, and we're going to go into the corkscrew. And Asselin is close enough to potentially make a move into the corkscrew. It's a dangerous place to make a move, so I wouldn't think he would do it. But yeah, he just slots in behind, and this is brilliant racing between these two drivers. I thought for a moment there we were going to see Asselin steam up the inside, but Illigner did a brilliant job of defending that position. Asselin read the situation as well, so no contact happening there. And then Illigner runs a little bit wide, but it's not enough for Asselin to make a move. He's having a look up the inside. Illigner is not phased at all by it. And now we're going for the exit, but oh, what a brilliant exit Tommy Asselin has. Illigner gets a little bit of a faulty exit, and this could be a position change into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see when they go into the braking zone. Asselin definitely going to go for the inside now. Or actually, sorry, Illigner covers the inside. Asselin trying to go around the outside. He's put his car on the outside, so he just has to maintain this, and he has the inside for the next corner, but he's not able to do it. Illigner doing a brilliant defensive job, being a massive Audi roadblock in front of that Aston Martin, but Asselin really applying the pressure now. And this battle is getting more and more exciting every second, and we're going to get... Oh, actually, just as I say that, Tommy Asselin jumps onto the curb. Brilliant car control in the gravel, and that's going to give Illigner a little bit of the breather. So he can sit down, refocus, and got himself a little bit of a second of a gap or so now, after that little mistake from Tommy Asselin, pushing him maybe a little bit too hard, trying to battle. But speaking of battle, Jack Newton's still not pitting. I think he is waiting for that wet tire. Oh, and here it is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dog and cats, we have the rain, and it is instant wipers turning on, and we are going to see a lot of change for the driving standards now. It is the tricky conditions, or it's still optimum on the track, but I can tell you that will very, very, very soon change with this weather conditions. And we have Diakowski already trying to make his way up behind the Nissan. The track is already green, and I'm telling you, this is going to be very sliding conditions. Now it's really down to the drivers to make the difference here. And we have Ben Lewis as well. I'm just going to see trying to make a move on Antoine Olive. These two were battling into the corkscrew. They go. Ben Lewis is on the inside. Antoine Olive has the outside. He manages to defend his position in the rain. They won't be taking as much risk, I don't think, but Ben still trying to go for it. Runs a little bit wide, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. So the Lamborghini driver of Antoine Olive doing brilliantly to defend there. And now we have the Aston Martin of Diakowski trying to surmount another attack on to Bernd Schneider. I keep saying Bernd. It's because Bernd Schneider is the DTM driver. And Schneider, Björn Schneider, I'm sorry. It's close enough for me to get confused. But anyways, Diakowski getting ever so closely now. I don't know how the Nissan is to drive in the wet. I know the Aston is very nice to drive in the wet, and I also know the Audi is a nice car to drive in the wet. But I think Dominic Illigner is struggling a little bit because Tommy Asselin is right up behind yet again. And I think this time around, Dominic Illigner has a little bit more pressure on him. He does have his teammate behind him. Oh, a little bit of a slide there from Illigner. Asselin going up the inside as there is a gap that opened up there from Illigner. And he's going to have the outside for the next corner. Another snap from the Audi driver. Tommy trying to go around the outside in this second final corner. Is he able to make the mistake? Big slide from Dominic. And he's able to catch his car. Tommy Asselin, oh my god. Tommy Asselin makes his way past Dominic Illigner up into P1. Brilliant fight between these two drivers. Illigner seems to be struggling a little bit more in the rain conditions compared to Asselin. The track is still greasy. We have the first person going into the pit lane, leaving the pit lane, I should say, of George Rosu on the wet tires. And he is losing quite a lot of positions due to it, but Asselin goes a bit deep into turn 1. This might allow Illigner to get back up into beside him, but he's not close enough to make a move. and he's getting really tricky conditions out there. I believe it tells us when the track is optimum for wet tires. We're seeing more and more people pitting now, and we have Jack Newton. I think he has called this pit stop strategy to perfection. Sam Chumley in the pit lane. He's one of the more pro drivers. When he goes into pit lane, I think that's also a sign that the others will go into the pit lane soon. Ben Lowe's in the pit lane as well at the moment. So I think the track is heating up to be wet tire optimum soon. We still have this battle ongoing, but it's not for long because Alexander Diakovsky gets a better exit compared to the Nissan, and he makes his way up the inside into turn 7, and that is a brilliant move as well, capitalizing on the mistake of the Nissan. But it's not over yet, as Schneiber is trying to go up the inside into the corkscrew, and he just might retake that position he just lost. And yes, he does, up the inside. Diakovsky, no, he's manages to keep it around the outside. They're going side by side through the corkscrew, and the red on slick tires, a little bit of contact between the two drivers, and then it is at the end Diakovsky who is able to get ahead of the Björn Schneibner. But I do believe they're going to go into the pit lane, so this could spell trouble. Dominic Illigner in the pit lane. Tommy Aslin, he stays out for another lap. Alright, this is going to be very interesting as it is damp now, and speaking of damp, Jack Mills is into the wall yet again. I'm just going to catch it this time around, sorry, but it has to happen. Bernd Schneibner is still trying to attack on the Assetto Diakovsky. They're still going for one more lap each, so most people have been in the pit lane to change for wet tires. Now it's really down to the strategy. I will have to keep an eye on Dominic Illigner, because if he has gotten the strategy to perfection, he will have one lap where the wet tires are much better than the slick tires, and he will regain that position Tommy Aslin has just made the overtake for. Although I do think that Audi is a bit more sketchy in the rain, so he might have done it more for the safety reasons rather than an undercut, so to say. But I think it is soon time to make the wet tire change. It is damp conditions now. The people on slick tires, you can see they are struggling. Ben Lowe's on the wet tires. He's got a lot more grip compared to the other drivers, and I think it looks like Tommy Aslin might have left himself out to dry a little bit too long at the moment, as Dominic Illigner leaves the pit lane, and he doesn't have any traffic ahead of him. No, it doesn't look like he's got a lot of traffic ahead of him, so it looks like Tommy Aslin will have to pit this lap, because Sam Chumley, who pitted 2 laps earlier, he's gaining quite a lot on him. So it really is the time for wet tires, but he is not going for it. He might be committing to not pitting at all, and that would be very brave of Tommy Aslin, but it's almost too late now to not go into pits. Alexander Diakovsky as well makes a move, is past ahead of Björn Schneibner, and that is Ben Lowe's behind them as well, who's a lap down due to pitting. So he's got a whole lap to regain on these drivers, but he will try and unlap himself sooner rather than later, because he looks like he's got a lot more pace on him at the moment. And yeah, Torres just saying it's the Lando strategy, because we're going to get more rain. The rain's not going to get easier until in about half an hour, and by that time the race is already finished, so that will be very tricky to tell. But he is doing the Lando strategy of staying out, and if he pits now it will be too late, so he has to do it. It's all or nothing now. And Björn Schneiber drifting through the corner there in that Nissan GTR, still right up behind Diakovsky. I'm surprised how close these two cars are, like glued together, or linked together with chain link or something. That is, we can see how much they're tiptoeing around in the rainy conditions. So Ben Lowe's wants to make his way past, but he doesn't want to get involved in this battle too much, because it is a battle for the podium positions, although he might just get involved now as no, he doesn't. He backs out of it, so he's being very respectable the way he's driving and not getting involved in this battle. But I do think he's got so much more pace, and almost collects the Nissan GTR there under braking. And there's Diakovsky. He's going a little bit wide, and that's going to allow the Nissan GTR to go up the inside. It's the same thing as Diakovsky did, going sideways through the corners. These two drivers are, and they are losing time to Tommy Aslin, so that is only good news for him. He's building his gap still, and Dominic Illigner has 10 minutes to try and make his way past these two drivers and also past Tommy Aslin to get that win. Tommy could be on to something here. He's got 10 minutes left. He's got around about, I would say, 6, 7 laps left. Let's see, Dominic Illigner last lap is a 1:35.1. Tommy Aslin's last lap a 1:34.3. So Tommy Aslin's actually still quicker on those slick tires. Has he just absolutely calculated this to perfection? I mean, he might have done, but we see Ben Lowe still struggling to. Well, he's not struggling to make it back. He could easily make it past these two drivers, but he's not wanting to get involved in this battle too much. trying to unlap himself, which I understand because it's not his battle to change. But it does make for some interesting racing though. That's Nissan is going he's almost having a Tokyo Drift moment. We see Bendo's, he could easily take a position here, but he backs off and decides to stay behind. He's not really got anyone else to race with. Antoine Olive, although is about 10 seconds behind, so he will catch soon if this continues. But we'll have to wait and see Ben struggling. He looks like he's more wiggling in frustration rather than actually struggling to get the car under traction at the moment. But we'll have to keep an eye on the lap times between the slick driver cars and Dominic Illigner last lap 1:31.1, so that is 4 seconds quicker than what Tommy Aslin has produced on his last lap. But Tommy Aslin is about to cross the line yet again, and he's been unlapped himself by Sam Chumley and Nico Velvet. The wet tires that definitely were optimum, but it's the pit lane. It's a pit stop too much, maybe. I don't know. So he's done a 1:35, so that 4 seconds between each lap time. So that is with about 5 laps. So that's about 20 seconds. Let's say Dominic Illigner gets about 25 seconds on Tommy Aslin. That is not enough to regain that position. I think Tommy Aslin, he's done the right strategy here, staying out on those slick tires. The people who stayed out in slicks, they've had a brilliant job at the moment. And Jack Newton, I just want to quickly do a shout out. He decided to wait until when it was wet to pit, and I guess he's the only driver that had enough fuel in his car to do so. And he is in 7th place currently, so that would have been the perfect strategy. And you can see how much better it is compared to the other drivers. We have Aiden Bailey, who was leading for so long. Well, not really leading, but who was I would say net P1 had Jack Newton done the same pit strategy as Aiden Bailey. But you can see how much strategy plays a hand in this race with the rain. And that's why we love rain mid-race, because it just throws such a curveball into what is actually happening in the position. For Aiden Bailey, still in a solid P2 at the moment. You see he's struggling to get the grip into that Porsche at the moment. It's quite interesting to see the way the Porsche drivers, they handle the rain, because I think it's one of the most entertaining cars to drive without any rain. Throw some rain into the mix and it's damn near impossible to keep pointing in the correct direction. You can see how much Jack Newton has to fight that steering wheel on turn, and just listen to this tire scrub. You can see the back end kicking out as soon as he gets onto the throttle and on the turn in. It's very, very, actually it seems very understeery. There you go, there's the oversteer. So it's understeery and oversteery at the same time. Very much of a handful to drive at the moment. This battle between Schneiber and Diakowski, it seems to have calmed down a little bit now. As he finally lets Ben Lowes pass, and I think Ben will thank him for that, because Antoine Olive was catching up to him. And he has no other option now other than make his way past Diakowski and just hope that these two, he doesn't get involved too much between this battle. I'm just reading in chat, F14T moment. I believe, is he making reference to the F1 2014 game where it was understeer and oversteer at the same time, or is he making the reference to the Mercedes W14? I don't know. So you're gonna have to explain that a little bit better. I'm gonna take a little break from all those. We see Ben Lowes is 2014 Ferrari moment. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That for sure makes sense. Understeer and oversteer at the same time. But you can see Ben Lowes basically opposite log halfway through the corner there, making his way past, unlapping himself actually from Diakowski, I would assume soon. But he doesn't look too eager to make a move anywhere. Oh, look at that. Is he trying to get heat in the tires maybe? By weaving down the straight like that. It doesn't look like it's the car that's snapping on it, or maybe it could be. I don't know, I'm not driving in these conditions. They look quite tricky to navigate at the moment, but yeah, he does get a better exit compared to Diakowski. Is he going to make a move to try and unlap himself? I don't know if he's going to do it. Diakowski on the inside brakes a lot earlier than Ben Lowes does. Ben Lowes but even though he brakes early, he goes very deep, and that's going to allow the Nissan of Bernd Schneiber, and there's contact between the two drivers, and Björn Schneiber makes his way past Diakowski. We're going to get a replay of that incident. So it looks like, because Diakowski goes deep, Björn Schneiber tries to capitalize on the mistake that Mr. Diakowski did. Diakowski rejoins the track and he's closing the corner. He's navigating into the Nissan. He goes, and I think that is a bit more on Diakowski rather than the Nissan of Schneiber, as he was had all the right reasons to be up that apex, and the gap just closed very quickly on him. And that's actually caused issues as well with Ben Lowes, as he's now lost a position to Antoine Olive, who's made his way past after that contact. So Ben Lowes getting caught out by him. That's what he didn't want to happen, getting himself in between these two drivers, having a battle on the slick tires. But that seems what's happened. And that is very unfortunate for Ben, as he loses the positions to Antoine Olive, who Marius Torres said was going to win the race. Can still happen, but a lot will have to happen for Antoine Olive to win this race. Torres been having some strong words. This is what happens when you don't let people allow people to unlap themselves. Karma, okay. we'll leave that up to the stewards, but I guess he does have a point. Like, there's no point fighting someone who's going to unlap themselves on much better tires to you. It's only going to cause more frustration to everyone involved, and it's only going to cause more time loss to everyone involved. But I guess he didn't want to be... it's nice having that back market in between yourself and the guy you're fighting with. But anyways, Antoine Olive makes his way past Alexander Diakovsky. And it looks like Tommy Aslin at the moment, last lap of 134. And Dominic Illigner at 130, so still 4 seconds between the two drivers. But this is where Dominic Illigner is on track, just crossing the start-finish line. And Tommy Aslin, he is all the way up, almost in the corkscrew now, with 3 minutes to go. I think Tommy Aslin has played this strategy to perfection. The people staying out on slick tires have really jumped quite a lot of positions here. Feuerherd as well started in P10, he's now in P6, and that is Jack Mills facing the wrong direction yet again. He makes a little bit of a cameo for the stream, and nice for him to wave at us. I'm not going to find the replay for that one, because I think we've seen enough of Jack moments, but we have a little battle between Andrew Moulton, Jorge Prieto, and Ad van Geffen, a 3-race grab. I think they are all on wet tires, but that's Van Geffen in McLaren. Is he going to make a move on the Audi in front of him? No, he's not. He's all about getting the right exit, to be honest, in the rain. He can't really make a move up the inside. Torres saying that Jack Mills is making for nice camera shots after the race, and I think he might be right. He might go on to something there. He definitely is taking the scenic route sometimes, so to say. But Van Geffen looks to have a bit more pace in him compared to Andrew Moulton ahead of him. And Andrew Moulton goes a little bit wide, runs a little bit deep. That's going to allow Van Geffen to go up the inside, maybe into the corkscrew. And he's thinking about it, but that Audi on the straight is so fast compared to McLaren, and he is able to defend his position for now. And Van Geffen has to just slot in behind in the corkscrew and try and navigate his way around in some other way later on the track. But we have, I don't want to say, yeah, we have this lap, and then we have one more lap left. Tommy Aslin leading the race, doing a brilliant job managing these conditions on those slick tires, and it definitely looks like Dominic Illigner has done the wrong choice, as he was in P2 and he's now in P4, and it doesn't look, he's 15 seconds behind Diakovsky, and I don't think that's enough to catch. He might get P3 with penalties at the end of the race, but I don't think that's enough for him to get a podium on track at least. And that's going to cost him at least one, maybe not even 2 positions by pitting. So Tommy Aslin rounding the second final corner now. He has 1 lap to go. You see just under a minute left of the race. Once he crosses the line, there is 1 more lap. And I believe there's not any more battles on the track apart from this one between Ad van Geffen and Andrew Moulton. Oh, and actually, Jorge Prieto, who's just about making his way past Martin Bryan up the inside. Looks like he's able to make the move stick. Although actually Martin Bryan holding a big momentum around the outside, but he doesn't keep it in the end, and then Jorge Prieto takes up another position yet again here. And then right behind him we have Van Geffen chasing down Moulton at the moment. He runs off the track, and that is that challenge over and done with. Last lap now for Tommy Aslin. The rain is still pouring. It's a fully wet track. He's on slick tires. His last lap of 134. Dominic Illigner on the 130, so it's 4 seconds slower as a lap. But he has definitely done the right strategy here today. Wow. This might be another Aslin win we will see here today. So I'm sure a lot of people in chat will be very happy. But he just needs to complete the last few corners. It's so nerve-wracking with the rain and the slick tire combination. I know it's so difficult to navigate. And all it takes is one tiny mistake. He's got the corkscrew to navigate, and he does it beautifully. He seems to be very calm and collected in that car. And I think he's got a few more corners to navigate now, and there's not really any more chances to really throw it away unless he goes really deep. There's yellow flags, and that's number 86 that is off the track of Andrew Moulton. But yeah, he's got a little bit of gravel there, but one more corner to go, and then Aslan will be a race winner. He comes around the final corner now. He's going to get onto the throttle nice and gentle, but he is taking the race winner. He's taking the lead in the championship. 2 races to go. Tommy Aslan crosses the line in P1. Absolutely amazing job from the Luxembourgish driver. Brilliant performance from him today. Putting Dominic Illigner under pressure, making that brilliant move around the outside, and then playing his strategy to absolute perfection. Amazing race for Tommy Aslan. He has doing celebratory drifting in the rain, which we love to see. He definitely well deserved, but we have a battle between Jack Newton and Feuerherd, which is not over yet. And I think these 2 drivers are very close to each other. We have Bernd Schneiber, I keep saying Bernd, I'm very sorry, Björn Schneiber, Alexander Koski, Illigner crossing the line now. Jack Colley is about to cross the line, but this little battle is interesting to watch. We'll have to wait and see who gets out ahead, but I think Jack Newton is going to win silver class. It looks like he's got a huge gap between himself and Aiden. Yeah, he's going to win. He's lapped all of silver class. All the silver class were lapped apart from him. So he's won it already. There's no way he can't win it anymore, even if he doesn't cross the line, because he's done more race mileage compared to the others. That is how ACC works. But he wins the silver class in P7. And what a brilliant finish to a race that was. That was a very entertaining race for sure. I can see Mike in the chat. He's very proud and understands. So what a drive! Absolutely amazing stuff from Tommy Aslan. You can be very proud, I think, of him today. Stolz auf Aslan. I'm not gonna try Luxembourgish again. It's been too long since I practiced it. I need to get back to it. I'm not gonna embarrass myself on the stream this time around. But we still see the drifting boy from a little town in Luxembourg having a great time, celebrating his win today. And what a race it was. Brilliant stuff. We had everything in the mix. We had battles for P1, we had on-track fights, we had a little bit of drama, we had some rain, and then we finish it off with someone playing the strategy to absolute perfection. Well, thank you very much everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure commentating yet again. I think I'll commentate again next week, and then Timo will take over again for the final round of the race. But Tommy Aslan now leads the championship with Dominic Illigner, I think around 12 points or so behind. I can't really remember exactly. And thank you everyone in the chat for watching, and also thank you very much for thanking me. A lot of thank yous. And I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Have a very good time. Have a great rest of your evening. And catch you guys next Monday, same time again. And I believe the track is... Oh, actually, let me just quickly find the track before I sign off. I'm prolonging this a little bit, aren't I? Anyways. Info. There it is. Alright, so the next track we'll see you guys at next week is Zolder, same time again. And we'll have another bang over race for you. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been Christian Stricker. And have a great evening. Bye bye.